partly depends on the ability of voters to hear different political opinions as espoused by the various political parties, and thus enable citizens to exercise the franchise on an informed basis. We further note that free and fair elections is the only legitimate basis on which the authority to govern is derived. We acknowledge that the Electoral Commission is constitutionally mandated to ensure free and fair elections of legislative bodies. We acknowledge that political parties and candidates participating in the 2014 national and provincial elections are obliged to observe all provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct, which is binding on those participating parties, their candidates, members, and supporters. Statement of commitment. The political parties gathered on the 19th day of March 2014 in Midrand, Gauteng, commit themselves to uphold the underlying values and conduct required by the Code and to which they hereby pledge to adhere. Further pledge. To underscore this commitment, leaders of the undersigned political parties pledge to lead their political parties in a manner that will reinforce a culture of tolerance towards all other parties contesting elections, to effectively counsel and advise all candidates on their party lists so that each candidate will in turn propagate a message of maximum tolerance, to publicly promote the eradication of no-go areas for campaigns by political parties, to desist from using speech or from participating in actions which will have the effect of provoking either political parties, supporters, or members of the general public to commit acts of intolerance or take other inflammatory actions. That participating parties will work together to achieve the object of goals of the Electoral Code of Conduct. Thus, the pledge is signed in Midrand on the 19th March 2014. Program Director, I think from here you will have got to take over because I'm going to be seated here to welcome the leaders of the parties or those representing them to come over and sign.
Jaja, thank you very much. I know you have kept the time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the ceremony we came here for, it's about to begin. I've had a very courteous chat with leaders of political parties that are going to sign. I have their cooperation, and this it's an occasion where we work together. I must say, political parties in our nation have supported the work of the Electoral Commission extensively. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know these are my valued clients. I work for all of them. And so this morning, I'm going to be inviting their leaders to come through. Are we okay? Are we ready to go? Are we? Thank you very much. As the nation joins us, we wish to welcome them to the signing of the Code of Conduct by all contesting political parties for the 2014 national and provincial elections. And ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I'm going to allow on stage for 2 minutes, and I am going to be watching that 2 minutes very carefully because we will be overrunning the time if we don't. I'm going to ask the leader of Africa Unite Party, Mr. Robin Denton, to take his 2 minutes. You're welcome, Mr. Denton.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin Denton from the Africa Unite Party. We're here to contest in these elections to end racially motivated violence and to be a platform for the youth in this country and the rest of Africa. I pledge myself and my supporters to refrain from any incitement and to be tolerant and vigilant against all forms of violence. And we hope to contest these elections and to be representing you in the next Parliament. Thank you very much.
Mr. Robin Denton, thank you very much. Do take a seat and the judge will facilitate. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, we have gained just a minute. I am going straight to the ACDP and I'm going to invite Reverend Dr. Kenneth Mishwe to come forward.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dumelang bagaetsho. The African Christian Democratic Party is planning to provide our national parliament and provincial legislatures with reliable, trustworthy leaders of integrity who are passionate about addressing the needs of all South Africans. Our prayer is that we will all be able to fulfill our prophetic calling to this nation and help make South Africa an example of faith in the living God, diligence and integrity to the rest of the world. It is for this reason that the ACDP today will be signing the Code of Conduct for all contesting political parties and publicly committing ourselves to uphold and promote the provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct, and we will at all times prevail on all our members and supporters to be peaceful and respectful throughout this period of campaigning and not to be involved in any provocative acts and bullying tactics. We will not cheat, intimidate, or steal votes from anybody. The ACDP therefore challenges all other parties to make the same commitment and appeal to their members to cease from any form of intolerance and ensure that these elections will come to an end without resorting to violence. And lastly, we want to demonstrate to the world that our 20 years of democracy is proof that leaders of political parties in South Africa have become matured and that we are ready to work with our brothers and sisters on our continent to usher this great continent of Africa into a new decade of peace and prosperity. I thank you all, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my cooperation is phenomenal. I must thank the parties that have gone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take this opportunity to greet you all of you who are gathered here today. As very important people, I suppose. I will be making a great mistake if I could forget to greet the poor masses of this country, some of whom slept over empty stomachs yesterday, while some of us here are having our slices of bread buttered both sides. I will be making a great mistake because the African Independent Congress is the only political movement which was formed by the poorest of the poor people of Matatiele. Amongst the founders of this pro-poor political movement, there was not even one political organization for wrongdoing. When we talk of organic purity, we talk of African Independent Congress. As a voracious reader, I was reading a book titled The Fall of the ANC, What Next? By Prince Mashele and Mzugisi Qobo, I was reminded about what was said by my great leader, Comrade Harry Kwala, in 1993. He said, and I quote, "The ANC has defeated all its enemies outside and inside the country, but the only enemy that will destroy the ANC is ANC itself." We are not here today to pray for the demise of the ruling party, but we are here today to assure the people of this country, the poor masses of this country, that as African Independent Congress, we are not a political party which believes in violence. You will recall that the people of Matatiele, the people of Mutse, were undermined by the ruling party in 2005. We are still going to fight for the rights of the poor masses, but we will do that peacefully. We are here to sign the pledge. Thank you very much.
My distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it can be very tough where I am and where the other members come through. When I come close, then there's something that we need to manage. Please bear with me. I am very grateful. We now move to invite the African National Congress, represented by Ntate Gwede Mantashe.
Thank you, Program Director, Chairperson of the IEC and Commissioners, members of the Judiciary, Acting Chief Justice, Justice Msanek, leaders of political parties, members of the media, and everybody present here. On behalf of the African National Congress, we want to pledge our support. We'll sign the pledge with commitment that we are committed to a multi-party democracy. That's why we think that the proportional representation system gives voice even to the smallest party, and that gives us an opportunity to hear even the minutest voice in society. And our commitment is that we will ensure that there is no go area created by the ANC, and will be tolerant of any party. We'll listen to people who give us free airtime, talk about us. We'll be very grateful to those who give us free airtime. But the reality of the matter is that we value this democracy. We'll defend it with our skin. We want to have free and fair elections on the 7th of May. It is 49 days to those elections where we'll be electing the 5th Democratic Parliament. The 49 days should be peaceful. We must be tolerant of each other, and we are pledging as the ANC that we'll tolerate everybody. We'll be able to campaign with everybody. We'll be doing door-to-door work with everybody. We'll cross each other in the streets, and we'll defend the right to vote and the right to be elected of everybody as the African National Congress.
I thank you very much. Let me indicate that this we will do. It's the signing of the code, and parties are binding themselves to it. Let's keep it to that. I now invite, without further ado, the African, the APC, African People's Convention, and Ntate Themba Godi. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, the leadership of the IEC, the Deputy Chief Justice, comrades, gentlemen, and ladies. We are here as the APC to reaffirm our commitment to the democratic values of our Constitution. We are here to reaffirm our commitment to conduct ourselves in a manner consistent with the Electoral Code, as well as our own belief that politics is a competition of ideas. And also, as Robert Sobukwe taught us way back in 1959, vanquish your opponent with facts, not with a knuckle duster. We are also here to state our faith in the ability of the IEC to once again deliver elections that will surely reflect the will of the electorate. We also wish to take this opportunity to urge our people to exercise their right to vote as the only democratic way to effect change in our country. It is your social responsibility. It is the fruit of the liberation struggle. To us in the APC, elections are not just about votes, but it is also about nation building. Thus, as the APC, we commit to campaign ethically and not to take liberties with the truth in our quest to get votes. The APC is a party guided by principles, not emotions, negativity, subjectivism, opportunism, demagoguery, obstructionism, or opportunism. As a party of revolution, committed to the welfare and well-being of our people, we pledge ourselves to continue holding high the banner of revolution, never to betray the Africanist cause, never to betray the legacy of the fighters for the cause of Africa. We will continue as their living footsteps to strive for a society that is democratic in form, non-racial in character, and socialistic in content. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ahang SA, and the leader representing them is Andries Glowamma. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Tobel. And I just want to greet the chairperson of the IEC and all dignitaries. Arang SA is delighted to take part in the signing of this Code of Conduct. In signing this, we pledge to uphold the Code of Conduct to protect the South African legacy of free and fair elections and the legacy of our struggle heroes and the future of all who work tirelessly to build our democracy. Arang SA upholds the values contained in our Constitution, which includes the right to have free and fair elections. We call on all political parties contesting these elections on the 7th of May to fight to protect this right, to work with independent electoral monitors, to ensure a transparent, honest, and above reproach election, and to work with each other to ensure ours is an election that we can be proud of. Thank you.
We thank you very much. Let's invite Al Jama, Mr. Hanif Hendricks. 2 minutes. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The greatest gift a country can give its citizens is freedom. And that is the good story Muslims will tell our kids about the past 20 years. I thank my great-granddad who gave the ANC its name, and I thank my mom who gave refuge to the wives of the Ravonia trial prisoners. Al-Jamaa would like to wish the chairperson of the IEC and her team strength, and we ask that she now be left to carry out her mandate. Al-Jamaa is ready to sign the pledge, and we would like to do that with a sense of excitement, as we want to show that in our campaigning we will be the most peaceful party in South Africa, even more peaceful than the EFF. I would like to, however, say that Al-Jamaa will make his best endeavors for a peaceful election. And our constituency largely comes from the Cape Flats, where many of our members are now in a revolt because of recent legislation limiting their employment to 9%, while they are 50% of the Western Cape population. But we will still, inshallah, try our best to keep them under control so that we can have a free and fair election. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. We are not doing badly at all. I want to invite Azapo Ntate Jacob Dikobo. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, Chairperson of the IEC, and Commissioners, Acting Chief Justice Museneke, members of the Executive who are here, leader of political parties, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the people of South Africa, Lochani, Dumelangi, and Machero. I stand here on behalf of Azapo to make this pledge, and we make this pledge before God and before our people. In our campaigning, we will promote a message of peace. We will use a language that is acceptable as we communicate our message. We will promote peaceful coexistence of all contesting parties. Azapo calls upon the people of our land, the people of South Africa, to join us as we work to strengthen democracy in our land. We call on our people to turn out in their multitudes on May 7 to exercise their democratic right. Those who are happy must go and vote to indicate their happiness. Those who are unhappy must go to vote and indicate their unhappiness. And as we make this solemn pledge, we pray for God's peace. God bless our land. God bless our people. Nkosi sikelele Afrika. Ke a leboga. Shukra.
Thank you very much, Azapo. The next party we are having, it's Bushbuck Ridge Residents Association. When I spoke to the leader of the party, he says, I represent BRA. It's BRA in other words. And Tatemukwena, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Program Director, Chairperson of IEC, the Acting Judge. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Bushbuck Resident Association from Mpumalanga, we are here to say to Chairperson of the IEC, we are committed to respect and follow the code of conduct of the IEC, and we are here to say we are committed to work to everybody and to tolerate one another. We are not going to create a boundary whereby other parties are going to unable to campaign. We are saying as people of Bushbuck Ridge or in Mpumalanga, where we are contested, because we are contested the election for national and in Mpumalanga only, then we are committed to work to everybody. Then we are saying to call members of and supporters of BRA to make sure that we respect one another, we go to election free, we don't intimidate another. Thank you.
Thank you, Bra. I now wish to call upon Congress of the People, represented by Ntate Musiwa Lekota.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Program Director. Madam Chairperson of the IEC, Acting Chief Justice Museneke, members of the National Executive, brothers and sisters, leaders of all participating political parties, my dear friends, on behalf of the Congress of the People, we will sign this pledge in deep recognition of the sacrifices that previous generations, black and white, made in bringing about our democratic dispensation. We will do so in service to the present voters and citizens of our country. And we will do so out of our responsibility to bequeath unto succeeding generations a democratic dispensation and a country they deserve. I thank you.
Ke a o leboha, ntate. Let me call the leader of the Democratic Alliance, Mayor Helen Zille.
Thank you very much indeed, Programme Director. Acting Chief Justice Moseneke, the presiding officer today, Judge Makanya, Dr. Tlakula and all commissioners, leaders and representatives of political parties and all distinguished guests here today. Our presiding officer, Judge Makanya, opened these proceedings by saying that the Code of Conduct we are pledging ourselves to uphold today is provided for in our Constitution to ensure that the playing fields are level, and then he used a judicial term, ab initio, which he explained was from the beginning, to ensure free, fair and credible elections. To ensure that the playing fields are level, to secure free, fair and credible elections. And when the judge read the code, we can see that the primary focus of the code is on tolerance, non-violence and free political activity. Now, all of these are essential to a free, fair and credible election, and the DA pledges itself unconditionally and wholeheartedly to uphold the code. All of these elements are essential to the elections that we committed ourselves to in our constitutional pledge. But we have to ask ourselves, does this pledge go far enough to secure free, fair and credible elections? While all the elements are necessary, they may not be entirely sufficient. And I think our experience has taught all of us that the multi-party forum needs to revisit the contents of that pledge and add some additional dimensions. One of the first key dimensions I think we need to consider is a pledge for political parties not to use state resources for electioneering purposes. I think that that is absolutely essential because it does not enable a free, fair and credible election on a level playing field. And of course, state resources stretch across a very wide gamut. And parties that are in government have access to resources if they abuse that power that other parties do not have, and that undermines the very intention of free, fair and credible elections. And so we pledge ourselves unreservedly to the contents of the pledge as it stands today, with a plea that all parties in the IEC multi-party forum revisit that pledge and add the elements that are necessary to secure a genuinely free, fair and credible election on a level playing field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazila. Without wasting time, I'm going to call upon the EFF as represented by Mr. Mpora Magata.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, everyone. All protocol observed. We would like, as EFF, to call upon all stakeholders to take the signing of this conduct today as signaling the leveling of the playing field that will deliver free and fair elections in South Africa come 7th May. We are saying the leveling of the playing field. There are certain critical areas which we would like to bring to this forum's attention today. We are saying, as the newcomers in the political scene in South Africa, or frame in South Africa, we were forced by our counterparts or other political parties who have been there that we had to pay a hefty fee called participatory fee in these elections. And as the chairperson welcomed us earlier on, she also alluded to the fact that some of the political parties intending to participate in these forthcoming elections have not paid that money. And we are saying this is a matter that all of us as stakeholders needs to look, to revisit and apply our mind on. The second point is we are calling on all political organizations to not allow their members to declare certain areas no-go areas. If it comes to a push, let's hold hands as political parties and go into those areas for the sake of free and fair elections in this country. The other critical point that we'd like to raise today is that the SABC as a public broadcaster must be fair and give all political parties fair and equal coverage in their campaigns. We are going to appeal directly to the IEC. We know you are using SATU members as your election machinery, as presiding officers in voting stations. We are calling upon you to give them a crash course or a workshop of some sort, that they should not know that they are there not to represent their aspirations, their political, affiliations, but they are there to render a free, fair, and credible service in helping us to ensure that these elections becomes free and fair. Finally, we are saying as EFF, the credibility of IEC as an institution matters most in the process of elections and the outcomes of elections. And we are saying we think the current chairperson has already done an honorable thing by putting her own resignation. We are not forced, we must not wait to be forced in becoming responsible in areas where we are given responsibility. We think that the resignation is still in the process. We thank you.
I am tempted, ladies and gentlemen, to remind us that this is a pledge signing ceremony. And I hope we do only that. We pledge to the signing ceremony. I really honestly do not wish to use this podium for other purposes. I thank you very much, and I hope we have understanding for that. I'd like to call First Nation Liberation Alliance to come forward, and they are represented by Reverend Larry Vary.
Good morning, everybody. I greet the chairperson of the IEC, the presiding judge, all leaders of political parties and everybody present. I greet South Africa. I'm here on behalf of the First Nation Liberation Alliance, abbreviated as FNLA. FNLA is a new party. It has been tough for us to make our arrival. It has been a tough decision also in terms of what we stand for, because we did not want to be interpreted as a racist party. But the last 20 years of this newfound democracy has guaranteed our the fact that we would constantly be neglected and sidelined. And for that reason, we have created a party that would speak on behalf of the First Nation, which is currently classified as coloreds, and other minorities. We know that the colored people, for the last 20 years, has been too white to be black for affirmative action. So we stand for the colored vote, also for the minorities, because apart from those who are too white to be black, there are also those communities that are not big enough to be black enough. And so they are marginalized by the bigger groups. There is a despondency in the colored community. They have lost confidence in the election. But I want to appeal to all colored people and people from minority communities not to sit at home on voting day. Please come out and vote. It's the only way you can express yourself. I think what you have to do is vote for a party that will represent your interest, and especially to those coloreds and minorities, we call you to come and vote. We need a voice for colored people in Parliament. On that note, I want to say that FINLA, the First Nation Liberation Alliance, makes the necessary pledges to be consistent in all our doings and to make sure that we are in line with the electoral code at all times. We ask the same from all other parties. But also, we want to appeal to the IEC and Parliament to make laws that represents the interests of the people. At this point, we are disappointed by political parties. We did not have to start new political parties, but we were forced to do that. And now we have to pay a big amount to start. So you are excluding people who are disappointed by the system. Please make laws that allows people to enforce their democratic right. The other thing that you've done is you are promoting bigger parties by giving them the money to run a campaign, and we have to do it with our own money as new parties.
Thank you, Reverend Vari. Reverend, I really wish everyone must have the opportunity that we all have. It'll be unfortunate other parties don't have equal amount of time on air. I ask of all of us to please observe the time we have been allocated. I want to ask the first, the Front National Party to come forward, Dr. Dan Roth. Thank you.
Mr. Chairperson of the IEC and other dignitaries represented here, our party campaigns on behalf of the Afrikaner and other Western minorities in this country. And in the world today, I think it is safe to say that politics is being overshadowed by issues of sovereignty and self-determination. We have seen over the past week or so how the Republic of Crimea suddenly came to the fore, seceding from the Republic of the Ukraine. Now, those sorts of issues have been part of our history too, and even standing here on behalf of our party under the auspices of the IEC, one wonders by what authority and by what sovereignty this election is being organized, given our history of clashes between various peoples and various ethnic groups in this country. And I therefore appeal to all those who are participating in this election to do it in a fair and responsible manner and to abstain from any calls of violence. We recall also that during the famed 1994 election, 1,000 people died during those elections in violent clashes between various language and ethnic groups in this country. En op daardie noot wil ek ook 'n beroep doen op die Afrikaanse media spesifiek om vir ons billike ligtyd en kolomme in die koerante af te staan, aangesien ons ervaring tot dusver is dat die meer dominante partye wat hulle op die meerderheidsstem beroep, meer media aandag as ons kry. Op daardie noot bedank ek dan almal vandag hier en beloof dat Front Nasionaal verantwoordelik, vreedsaam en billik aan hierdie verkiesing sal deelneem. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much. I have indicated that it can be very intimidating here. I ask my panel to come. The Inkatha Freedom Party is represented by Inkosi Mzamo Buthelezi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, and all people of South Africa. On behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, its leaders, officials and members, I commit to uphold and promote the provisions of the local code of conduct as we approach the South Africans' 5th democratic elections. This code of conduct was set in place to ensure free and fair elections and to ensure that democracy thrives through the ballot box. For the first 10 years of democracy, the President of Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, held the national responsibility for elections as the Minister of Home Affairs. In those first years, as we transformed from a closed and unequal state to an open and democratic system, Minister Buthelezi recognized the fundamental role of the Independent Electoral Commission. He ensured that IEC was equipped with best minds and resources and challenged us to find the best electoral system for South Africa. The foundation was laid for a strong and effective IEC and for free and fair elections. The Electoral Code of Conduct, to which every registered party must commit, is a key part of keeping democracy on track. The values expressed in the code are the same values expressed by the IFP, so we've got no qualms in embracing it. We believe in freedom of expression of political beliefs. We believe in full and equal participation of all in all political parties. We acknowledge the role of the IEC and accept our own responsibility to be vigilant against any breach of the code. In particular, in 2014, we'll be vigilant against and quick to report any abuse of position of power and any attempt to buy votes and any incitement of violence. Already, we have questioned the use of SATU members as electoral officers when SATU is openly aligned with the ruling party. These have become weak spots in our political system, and we have a shared responsibility to fix them. Today, as always, the IFP commit in strengthening democracy by promoting free and fair elections. Thank you.
I thank you very much. Let's have KISS Party represented by Ms. Claire Gaisford. Claire, you're welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claire. KISS stands for Economic Liberation, the capitalist option. KISS is a business maxim. Keep it simple, stupid. It is the economy, stupid. This we see. The number one question that we must come straight to is how do we generate the wealth of a nation for the common good? I will be succinct. We have to open up the economy to the spirit of human enterprise. So if you want to have a government that conforms to this, that will actually create this wealth, then you must cut down on the size of government, the sheer size of it, and define what is government proper, that by the power of the public vote, and in order to work to purpose, we have to use that power in order to... I've had to cut this down, so I'm skeletonizing like crazy, you must understand. We have to use the power to protect its citizens from harm, to protect the environment of our country, to safeguard the currency, our commonwealth, licensed by the rule of law, independent and free from arbitrary interference by government. That is its job. So I will say to you, out of Africa, keep it sharp, sharp. KISS.
Thank you, Ms. Gaisford. Let's welcome on stage Kingdom Governance Movement, Mr. Sipho Mengezeleli. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I come here to represent the Kingdom Governance Movement to be part of the signing of this Code of Conduct and Pledge. We will do that because it is in line with our kingdom-based and value-based vision for a South Africa. We believe that there has to be a constitutional order that is based on value systems, a constitutional order that seeks to strike a balance between values and fundamental rights. And we are convinced that the current crisis that is facing our country, issues of immorality, corruption, political instability, is as a result of a foreign, new age, global culture that has been embraced by some of us as a policy development path for our nation. And we're coming in to say it is time for South Africa to lift up values and to lift up also the right to self-determination amongst the nations of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now going to invite the Minority Front, and we are going to have Mayor Shamim Thakur Rajbansi. You're welcome, ma'am.
Greetings to all. As the leader of the Minority Front, I pledge on behalf of my party, myself, our elected members, as well as those that are now standing for elections, as well as our other members and our volunteers, that we will abide and be bound by the Code of Conduct. We also uphold the Constitution of our country, as well as the rule of law. But I want to express that all Minority Front members understand the electoral laws, the regulations, as well as the electoral processes. Furthermore, we pledge full cooperation with the IEC, the officials, the IEC structures, as well as all other relevant stakeholders, that is the media and the South African police services, as well as other political parties, and most importantly, the voter. The voter is the final participant in this election. And our behavior with signing of this Code of Conduct will tell on the voter and the voter outcomes on May the 7th. But I want to make a plea to the majority parties. We require tolerance on your part. I can assure you, as minority parties, we will have the courage. But the goal of the elections is three things. We need free elections, we need harmonious elections, but most importantly, our behavior will tell on the outcomes of the elections, and we all want a fair outcomes. With these words, I want to thank the IEC for every initiative that they have undertaken to assist us as political parties in readiness for the May 7th elections. I want to thank you, and I want to wish all political parties the best of luck, and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Kaur. Let me invite the National Freedom Party, represented by Mezanele Kamakwaza Msibi.
Program Director, Madam Chairperson of the IEC, members of the Commission, Acting Chief Justice, and all dignitaries and leaders of all political parties. Today is a historic day for the National Freedom Party, as it is the first time in our democracy that the National Freedom Party is contesting the election in all provinces at the national and provincial levels. Madam Chairperson, on behalf of my party, I must congratulate the IEC in successfully holding election as mandated in the Constitution at 5-year intervals. One of the tests of a democracy is whether the Electoral Act and the provisions of the Constitutions are complied with. In this regard, I can safely say you have passed the test. The NFP, though, I think it is important for us to state that it is incumbent upon all political parties that are contesting the elections to commit sincerely to the Code of Conduct to assure a fair and credible results. The declaration that a party commits to the Code should not be a mere tokenism. The test of its commitment is the conduct of its followers during the election campaign and on the day of the polls. Unfortunately, we have witnessed a high level of violence, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, contrary to the democratic norms. The NFP has already lost many of its leaders and members due to violence acts. This is totally unacceptable. In this regard, I want to appeal to the IEC that as a major responsibility to make certain that parties campaigning should campaign without any intimidation and provocation. I want to state categorically that power obtained through violence can only be maintained by more violence, and this is against the spirit of our democratic society. I want to record my personal standpoint that there is no substitute for peace and harmony, and the National Freedom Party commits to the Code of Conduct by the IEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite the Pan-Africanist Movement and welcome Ntate Mandla Maseko. Please come on stage.
Chairperson of the IEC, sons and daughters of the soil. Robert Sobukwe, way back in 1959, spoke of an unfolding program when he described our struggle. He said our struggle, as it intensifies, it will assume different forms and dimensions. It will move from protest, action to challenge, which happened in 1960, from challenge to the armed struggle. And the armed struggle was precisely to secure the ballot box. We abandoned the bullet in 1990 in order to give this process a chance. We see the ballot box as a form of struggle, that revolution can be brought about through the ballot box. The Pan-Africanist Movement this afternoon commits itself to the Code of Conduct, and we subscribe to a principle of free and fair elections. And we therefore bind ourselves to the code in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ntate Masego. Let's have the PAC and Ntate Alton Mpeti.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Chairperson of the IEC, Acting Chief Justice, all protocol observed. At least today, the PAC is seen on television because of the IEC, because we always invite SABC, they don't come, and the ETV. So thank you very much, IEC. Call us again. Elections has to be chance given to the people determining their own destiny. The role of the IEC is supposed to be that of leveling the playing field. The issue of the money that is paid by the political parties for registration is questionable. The duty of the IEC is also to deepen democracy. There has to be deliberate effort on mass education. The PAC requests the IEC to revisit the issue of the logos of the political parties that are similar. The IEC has to be independent. It is true that if a prophet is paid by Pharaoh, he cannot be independent. In a country where there is a minute distinction between state and ruling party, the funding regime of IEC has to be highly monitored. We confirm that the PAC will abide by the Code of Conduct. Thank you.
Let's have the Patriotic Alliance represented by Ntate Kenny Kunene.
Let me observe the presence of the Deputy Chief Justice and all the justices. And let me take this opportunity by also thanking the IEC under the leadership of Metlakula for a sterling job that you have done in taking us through the process of registration and compliance as new parties. The President of Patriotic Alliance, Gayton McKenzie, has been working tirelessly in the Western Cape to facilitate a lasting peace in gang-related violence in the Western Cape. So that we can be able to save the lives of young people there. It is with this recognition that we denounce any forms of violence. And Patriotic Alliance commits to upholding the Electoral Code of Conduct as we deem it to be sacrosanct. Any violation of this conduct leads to loss of life. And we cannot afford, out of desperation for votes, to use our poor people in the townships for them to engage in violent acts. We need to come together and make sure that during this campaign towards these elections, we do not have loss of life of ordinary people. We also commit to call all political parties by the names that they have registered with the IEC. We will not call any political party a gang or da gang or gangster party. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ntate Kunene. We now call the People's Alliance, and Pastor Samuel Kennedy will be representing them.
Thank you, Program Coordinator. Thank you, Chairperson. Let me just say from the outset, we come here today to grace ourselves because we see the brevity and the damage of secular humanism that is ripping this country apart. So we come in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Lord and Savior, who is risen from the dead, who has ascended into heaven. So I start that out as a little intro of what we stand for. The People's Alliance, let me say very categorically and without ambivalence and without hesitating and unequivocally, we have absolutely, Madam Chair, no interest in the partisan politics of coalition of opposition. Our duty as patriots is we see this country as a new democracy, although we don't subscribe to it as an ideology. But we believe that the party that has been put into power is a party that has been placed by God. We are tired, Madam Chair, of pseudo-Christians who take sides and attack government or attack the provincial government, so that I'm not seen to be partisan, or any government. So we say to South Africans, it's time to reconcile. It's time to get back to the original ethos of national reconciliation, nation building, national reconstruction, patriotism for which we all strive for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Ubuntu Party, represented by Mr. Sidney O'Gain.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start by honouring the Code of Conduct by not taking more than 2 minutes. I, Sydney Orgain, am here today representing the Ubuntu Party on behalf of all our members and supporters around South Africa and in over 180 countries worldwide. I deliver this message on behalf of my fellow Ubuntu candidates, Stephen Goodson, Louise Clark, and on behalf of Michael Tillinger, our leader and founder of the Ubuntu Party, who unfortunately today could not be present as he is busy on a fundraising trip in Europe. We, the candidates of the Ubuntu Party, hereby pledge to uphold the Code of Conduct of the IEC during the lead-up to the elections and during the elections themselves to the best of our ability. We urge all our Ubuntu Party supporters to conduct themselves honourably and with dignity, displaying the highest levels of consciousness of the Ubuntu spirit to all our fellow South Africans participating in these critical elections. The Ubuntu Party, I would like to remind you, represents the people of South Africa, and that the Republic of South Africa, the country, belongs to its people. It does not belong to the government or any corporation that may have laid claim to it. May the spirit of unity shine into all our hearts on the 7th of May 2014 and guide us to making a choice of higher consciousness for the good of all people. God bless you. Nkosi Sikelele I Africa, and viva the spirit of Ubuntu.
Thank you, Ntate, again. Let me welcome the UCDP represented by Mr. Sipho Mfundisi.
Thank you, Program Director, the Chief Justice, and all protocol observed. I represent the United Christian Democratic Party at this solemn occasion with pride. We are a law-abiding and peace-loving party and came here to comply with legislation rather than as possible defaulters. In fact, it has been proven over and over again that we are victims of those who pay lip service to this hallowed responsibility. Notwithstanding that parties have come together supposedly as equals at the beginning of the race because all parties gathered here have paid the same amount, some should not rather be elevated to a higher level. One wonders whether this has to do with what Shakespeare says, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. That cannot be right at the start of a new race. We better awake to the ways of the immediate past chair of this Electoral Commission, Brigadier Baum, who on the 13th of April 2011, on occasion like this, in respect of the local government elections, said, and I quote, "Without multi-party tolerance, we will slide into tyranny of the majority," unquote. While we note that efforts are being made by the party liaison committees to level the playing field, it remains to be seen to what extent some parties, through their leaders, functionaries, and rank-and-file members, adhere to the letter and the spirit of the code we have come to sign here. As for the UCDP, we shall unreservedly adhere to the letter of the code. The UCDP wishes to thank all, or rather to call on all South Africans, locally and abroad, who have registered as voters to stand up to the test of time and speak out by marking those ballot papers and make a change to the fortunes of this country come May the 7th. I appeal to all at the election house, political parties, the media, voters, and even observers to accept the responsibility of having come here with responsibility. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the UDM represented by Mr. Bongani Msomi.
Thank you, Program Director, the Commissioners, Judges, and fellow South Africans. I greet you all. Governments exist because they are among the things that are required in order for people to cooperate, survive, and thrive. Today, we can make a difference by standing up for peace. The UDM is an organization that advocates peaceful measures in governance. Therefore, it becomes easier for it to coexist by working with other political parties. The UDM also subscribes to the Constitution of the Republic, respecting the rights of individuals and the right of freedom of association. Political violence is used by individuals, governments, and countries around the world. The goal is simply to change the status quo and to get reaction. Violence is seen as the only means to achieve an end. The use of violence is justified by making reference to political objectives. Let this not be the case with South Africa. Let's work together to promote the long-term security of our beloved country. The question everyone has this year is whether we are going to find a situation where campaigning processes are hindered by acts of violence or intimidation. The answers can be found back to the founding of our freedom. However, after the 1994 elections, when our differences were shut down, we created a unified nation. In the coming months, let's see where else can we make progress together. Let's make 2014 a year of action. As we mark the 20 years into democracy, we will remember the heroes and heroines of our struggle for the heavy price they paid for our liberation. Let us not allow their sacrifices and struggle be in vain. UDM commits itself to the pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the United Congress and Mr. Mluleki George.
Thank you very much, the judge and chairperson of the IEC and everybody who's in charge. The United Congress is here to commit itself that it will abide with all the rules of the Code of Conduct. The United Congress's aim is to bring our revolution back on track. It is clear that our revolution has been derailed. The democracy, which was meant to look after all South Africans, especially the poor and the workers, has become a preserve for a few who are helping themselves in the resources of the country through corruption. We have to stop this politics of exclusion. We have to make sure that we stop the looting and corruption, which is gradually but very systematically destroying our country. I thank you.
George, thank you very much. You gave me a bonus and I need it. I'm going to call the Freedom Front Plus, Dr. Peter Mulder.
Thank you, Chairman. Next time we start at Z and we go to A because we can't start with a discriminatory practice as it's the present here. So the Freedom Front Plus is one of only 4 parties, if I'm correct, that took part in the 1994 elections and are still on the ballot paper in our 5th national election. You know, we celebrated our 20th birthday last week as we were established just before the election. We plan to be around, sir, for many more elections to come. Aan die einde van elke parlementszitting en voor 'n verkiesing, dan sê die lede hier agter, veral van die ANC, vir ons totsiens, omdat hulle aanvaardig gaan ons nooit weer sien nie. En na elke verkiesing sedert die 94 is ons terug, en van die 90 het ons elke keer meer stemme gekry ook nog. So in the Bible I read how Moses was advised to govern his people. Exodus 18, if you want to read it. They said, you should look among all the people for capable persons who respect God. They should be trustworthy and not corrupt. Set these persons over the people as officers of groups of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. So may the result of these elections be that capable persons are elected, persons who respect God, trustworthy, and not corrupt as the Bible prescribes. My signing this pledge help all of us that this election will take place, hopefully in that spirit, a spirit of respect and fairness. You know, sir, an American candidate wrote of his opponent, that political candidate is a political shapeshifter who will break his word on any promise, abandon any pledge, betray any principle to get votes. If the majority of his audience were cannibals, he'd promised them missionaries for lunch. No, sir, I hope this pledge and the electorate will deal with such candidates. Let me conclude with some advice for the new parties. Remember, in politics, success is relative. The more success you have in politics, in the end, the more relatives. I conclude with the English. A politician, they say in English, runs for nomination, stands for election, and elected becomes the sitting member. Let's hope the new members elected will not be sitting, but will be hardworking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the Workers' and Socialist Party, and represented by Ntate Mametlwe Sibei.
Thank you, Program Director. Allow me to dispense with all the presenters of speech, save to thank the chairperson of the Commission for this opportunity. We believe, ladies and gentlemen, that the participation of Workers' and Socialist Party in these elections is just of historical significance as the events that gave birth to this particular party. It will be for the first time in the history of this country that the party representing unashamedly and openly for the working class and for the poor, the party of struggles of the working class in communities, in workplaces, and of course of the youth in universities and colleges, but also a party that openly put forward a program to break the economic dictatorship of the ruling capitalist class over the monopoly, over the commanding heights of the economy, and to fight for a socialist transformation of society. WASP will be taking part in these elections in order to promote the aspirations and the struggles of the working class people. We will be a voice of protest that you see in communities fighting for service delivery. We will be seeing the voice of protest of young people that are fighting in communities for jobs, and of course, workers fighting for better wages. We'll be using these elections to put the demands coming from these particular struggles, a demands for free, quality, higher education, a demands for jobs, particularly for the masses of the unemployed youth, and on the basis of decent wages for all, as well as the demands for a decent quality public services. We are saying that Workers' and Socialist Party, as part of socialism, will be using this election to raise the size of the entire society, that another world is possible, an alternative to the misery, to the suffering, and the poverty of the masses of the working class and the poor and the capitalism. We will be saying, through a nationalization of the commanding heights of the economy, of the mines, of the banks, of the farms, we can be able to bring into public ownership and democratic process and make sure that the economy is planned to meet the needs of all, not the interests of the few that are benefiting and have gotten rich since this democracy. Thank you.
We would like to thank viewers at home. All of our parties have pledged this morning. We have in fact covered all the contesting parties here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a marathon, keeping those 2 minutes. We made some gains and made some losses, typical of an election. I now come to a very important part of the ceremony. And I must thank you all. I thank the leaders of our political parties. We've had nice words, we've had discussions, and I have been honored to work with them within the 2 minutes that we had. I thank them indeed. We now come to a very important part. We have the names of all the contesting political parties given to me by a very, very trusted colleague. All of the names are actually in here. We are going to put them in that bowl. We are going to do a ballot paper draw. In that process, the party whose name is drawn out first will determine the order of the ballot. And in this respect, I must say that Every one of those ballots will then be ordered in alphabetical order following that party. Now we do this because some will say if you're on top of the ballot, you have the advantage. Some will say if you're somewhere in the middle, there's a bigger advantage because the IEC is the middle of the ballot first. And others will say, go look for me right at the bottom, and that's where it works. It is not determined by us. Someone in this room is going to do a draw. I have not prearranged that person that is going to be doing the draw. But first of all, I am going to have all of these names put into the bowl, and I'm going to find a way to get somebody in the audience to facilitate that process. I told you I work for the people behind me, all of them. I won't ask them if they had a birthday this week or today, because I'd like somebody in the audience that has had a birthday this week, if there's one. There are ways of verifying that, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to do it very respectfully. Anyone that had a birthday or is having a birthday this week? No. Then that's okay. That's okay. May I have one of the wonderful ushers in this venue? Colleagues, find me one of the ushers. One of you come forward, please. Wonderful. I want to declare our interest as the Electoral Commission to the employers of the sister that's going to help me. She's not moonlighting. She has not taken on a job with us. She's facilitating a national process. What's your name? Mbali. Mbali, you work here?
No.
And that was the signing of the IEC Election Code of Conduct Pledge that was signed by all the political parties at Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand, Johannesburg. Now, it's just after 1100 hours Central Africa time here on AM News. It is Wednesday, the 19th of March, 2014.
I want you to stir a little bit, like we're doing Norok soup or something. Do that. My leaders are, if you're really the one that wants to be at the top, say a silent meditation because we are about to draw. Mbali, are you cooking well enough? You're happy with how you have stirred? Do you want to pull out a name? One. Just one. Mbali, don't read it there. Come with me. You are going to be the first person in this nation that's going to know which political party it's number one on the list, on the ballot paper. I want you to read that to South Africa this morning and tell them who that party is going to be.
Greetings to you all. Okay, the name is Freedom Front Plus.
Ladies and gentlemen, a few things are about to happen. But first of all, let's thank Mbali very much for doing this. Mbali, I thank you indeed.
Pleasure.
Free Front Plus, you come up tops on the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, on your screens, I have the privilege of saying to you, this is the order of the ballot as we'll have for the 2014 national and provincial elections. They are ordered. That's the copy of the ballot, as you would see it there, and the names as in the order that they're going to be. I thank you very, very, very much this morning. Now, my colleagues have been giving very good instructions throughout the morning, and I am very, very grateful. The ballot is slightly long. It will not all fit. Perhaps my colleagues can show that ballot moving slowly and see the order. You know, the unfortunate thing is that my leaders don't see the ballot paper now. We'll organize for them to see the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, having done the ballot draw, there is an item, and I look at my colleague. We are still on for that E item. May I have the people that are going to come and render that item coming closer? I'm going to declare that we have a few moments to do our entertainment. You know, amazing, when I was looking for time, it was eluding me. Now I've caught up again with it. We're going to have a small item of entertainment, and I'd like the group to come forward. I know they were going to come in the next 10 minutes. If we don't have them, are they ready? Let them come. Please come. No, I'm going to take you away. I'll take my ladies away in a moment. Please come. Please come.
Sperduta l'alma mia si prostrate e pien di speme si prostra ai tuoi piedi. Ti voglio e te tu le la pace che solo tu puoi donare. serpientis pene si prostra ai tuoi piedi. In voi cae attendete tu le Dio, la pace che solo tu puoi donare.
Grazie. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Non ho più catene, ma solo piangerò.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thought I should say to you, South Africa is a beautiful country. The election we are running, it's a proudly South African election. Everything we get for this election is South African. And Soweto Opera Quadro is truly South African. I want to say to you, bring them on. Those that you know elsewhere, we will hold our best against them. Gentlemen, continue to render beautiful music to the house.
Start it from the top. From top, track 2.
Non ho più catene, ma solo piangerò lontano da te. Non ho più catene, perché so che il tuo amor perso per me. So che un dì guardo il cielo e so dove sei, cosa fai, e dovunque andrai sentirai i sospiri miei che per te, sol per te, parlano d'amor, del mio amor. Catene, ma solo
Thank you. Grazie. Thank you. Can we have monitors, please? Sound on the monitors. Thank you.
Wash away the thoughts inside that keep my mind out